right, and the week is really going fast. It is Thursday, the 3rd of October 2024, 83 days to Christmas. This is the Morning Cafe. Karibu sana. My name is Fred Indimuli.
Absolutely, your daily countdown to Christmas.
Oh, yes.
Get to your Fred Indimuli. I am Shiksha Arora. This is the Morning Cafe show. You are watching TV47. Remember, if you'd like to find us on social media, at TV47KE on Facebook and Instagram, at TV47 News on X, at Shiksha Arora, and at Fred Indimuli. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
All right, and of course we have all the local dailies with us, and the big story on the Star, DP under pressure to quit and seek asylum. That's very interesting, but that we'll be discussing on State of the Nation. After that, at 8 a.m. rather, sorry.
Right, from 8 to 9 a.m. we'll be talking about things, hypertension, what exactly is hypertension, and of course this is something that's quite common in the country. A lot of people have this condition, and if you don't know much about it, well, Dr. Victor Ngani, from medical director, well, he's the medical director at Dr. Rasik Kantaria Jalaram Medical Services, so he will be educating us today.
And being Thursday, of course, it's fitness.
Yeah, Shadrach Omar, gym instructor, physique gyms from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Once again, a workout that kicked me in the It was quite something, Indimuli. Why don't you join me one of these days?
I will try. You know, I'm trying to improve my dancing skills first before I get to the gymming
One
part.
step at a time.
One step at a time. All right, the big headlines today. Yes, the Star there, DP under pressure to quit and seek asylum. And this is, I think, the most interesting part.
Yeah.
Quitting, yes, we've been talking about it. Seeking asylum. This is the Star. Smart people read the Star.
People say that, well, political analysts say that it could, in the future, right, ruin his political career.
Oh yes, definitely. Impeachment, a successful impeachment has implications. On the People Daily, the skunk in 104 billion shilling UHC tech upgrade, at least a departure from the Deputy President's Woes, because yesterday everyone was talking about the Deputy President.
Yeah.
Yet, matters health should be the big headline today.
I'm not sure if you got the text.
Yes, I did. I got the text.
Mandatory transfer,
oh, yes, I was told,
migration of you from
initially,
NHIF to SHIF.
Initially, I was told that yes, you have to go to the website, apply and do this. Yesterday, I was just told yes, you've been transferred.
Same.
No one asked me.
Same. No one asked anyone. None of us were asked.
All right, so matters health making it big to the headlines, and I think this was one of my concerns, or our concerns yesterday, that everyone was talking about the Deputy President, no one was talking about the health matter.
The Standard RUTO's loud silence, of course, President RUTO, who has quietly jetted back from the US on Monday. And up until now, there's not much mention of the upcoming impeachment of the DP.
Who's deputy?
There's there's nothing that's been said. The boss has not made any sort of statement.
He's asking his allies, did I have a deputy? Who?
Yeah.
Which one?
So I guess this silence also, you know, when they say there's silence,
yes,
it also is
a very loud
yes. answer.
Yeah, very loud silence as well.
Yeah.
RUTO's loud silence there. SHIF nightmare. That's a big headline on the front page of the Daily Nation. Yes, and I appreciate the fact that matters health are being given prominence on the front pages today. Yes, the Deputy President's Woes down there. We'll be looking at that later.
Apart from that, of course, that is the Taifa Leo. SHIF machungu tele.
Yes. So maswala ya afya yanapewa kipaumbele, na hii ni habari njema kwa wengi. Unajua siasa imezidi.
Yeah.
So we needed a break from that. Matters business.
Safaricom eyes deals with Starlink rivals in data fight. Now,
finally.
I'm not sure, Indimuli, if you saw what there was a statement that was released about how those who have loans to pay, how the loans will be paid.
Oh yes, the Hustler Fund. Yes.
Of course, through Safaricom. Through M-Pesa. So this is something that a lot of people are talking about. You know, during the Mandamano, Gen Zs were very quick to boycott Safaricom.
Talking of Hustler Fund, it also features somewhere on the front pages. I think I had seen it somewhere. Yes, on the Standard, why state could lose 7 billion shilling in Hustler Fund. It's a 7 billion they were seeking to recoup through your airtime and M-Pesa. This story is there on page 22. Are they going back on that plan? Because now they're saying the state could actually lose that money, 7 billion shillings.
So this is the story that was trending on social media yesterday. The hashtag Hustler Fund was actually trending on X.
Okay.
So a lot of people were talking about it and what the outcome could be. Repercussions, of course, for you. If you have a Hustler Fund loan, what happens?
Right. Cross the border into Uganda, and they're still talking about that gold heist that we saw yesterday. Gold racket steals envoys 900 million shillings. This is Ugandan money. On the Daily Monitor today, they're saying not immune. A top diplomat of Uganda to a Middle East country may have had diplomatic immunity on many things, but fraudsters. So yesterday, they were talking about how a foreigner in Uganda had been scammed.
Right.
Now they're talking about a Ugandan envoy in a foreign country who has been scammed. The investigations by this daily show how a cartel fleeced a German national of billions of shillings in Uganda. It emerged that an envoy was also in tears of a similar incident. So tit for tat.
Oh, yeah.
Watu wenu wakiiba upande hii, sisi tunaiba upande hii.
Steal from me, I steal from you.
Yes, back more elegant. Makerere Ivory Tower rises from the ashes. This tower here, it's a special tower that is iconic at the Makerere University. It burnt down a few years back.
Yes.
So it was reconstructed, and yesterday they were inaugurating that and saying, back and more elegant. This is the tower they're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's a Daily Monitor. No mention of any Kenyan news here on the front page. On the New Vision, still matters the tower. Museveni opens rebuilt Ivory Tower at Makerere University there. But this is a very interesting headline.
Government unveils digital app for land titles, and this system is set to curb corruption, and that's what the minister says. He speaks out on this, and interesting to see what happens next.
And in Kenya, we've always wished for something close to this, digitization of the land registry, the land title deeds. So something like this that you can just go onto an app or log onto a website and see land details if you're
Especially
buying.
when it comes to foul play.
Yes, there's a lot of
title deeds.
There's a lot of that in Kenya. Just recently, the government printer said that at least some 367 government documents that could be used as title deeds had been stolen.
Wow.
So how do you even trace them?
Wow.
So yes, Uganda are way ahead, and they've unveiled a digital app for land title deeds. That's as far as Uganda is concerned, and still in Uganda. So there's digital apps and then digital number plates. So munasema Uganda wana barabara, lakini as far as technology is concerned, they're way ahead.
Digitization is taking center stage, which we love to see.
Yes. Crossover to Uganda. Gazeti la Mwananchi wanasema wenye ajira binafsi sasa kupata mafao, wamo bodaboda, mamalishe. Mamalishe ni kama mama mboga tu. Wakulima na wavuvi. NSSF yaja na mpango maalum kuwanufaisha na pensheni za uzeeni, mafao ya uzazi, matibabu, warithi na mazishi. So habari kuu pale, wale wadogo pale watanufaika zaidi. Habari ya Kenya iko pale.
Absolutely. Our DP has made it to the Tanzanian newspaper.
And they've used a very interesting photo of the Deputy Kenyans facing the mountain. So naibu wa rais Kenya ana dakika 120 kujiokoa. This is one angle that Kenyans have not even talked about. He'd been given 2 hours, offered actually by the National Assembly next week on Tuesday evening. He's told after the debate, he'll be given about 2 hours to come and defend himself, give his case.
So clearly,
they've counted the minutes instead.
120 minutes. And then, of course, world news right there with the Iran and Israel situation. Of course, you know, Iran launched missiles at Israel, and this is, as what they say, is they're defending themselves. And they're telling Israel not to come for them because, as we know, Israel has also moved into Lebanon after Palestine. So this is Iran basically telling them, please do not mess with us because you don't know what's going to happen. I wonder the stance that US will take.
Now, this is a very tricky issue because it has the potential to lead to an all-out war.
Because obviously Israel and US are allies. Israel has had some sort of friction in the past, a couple of times with Iran. So what happens next?
Iran and the US, of course, they have their own problems. So this, and it's amazing that Mwananchi have given prominence to a few stories beyond their borders on the front page. Kenya and the Middle East. Crossover to the Citizen and the main, actually it's even been given more space on the front page of the Citizen in Tanzania. It's actually a third of the page. Kenyan deputy president now faces graft claims.
Right, of course, up there, new gold prices, what is at stake? Now, we saw this a couple of days ago, and it's back again, and it says a day after the Bank of Tanzania announced that it will start buying gold at international prices. This is something that, you know, it's because of extracting and processing the precious material. And the main challenge is not the prices, it's this particular situation where, you know, when it comes to extraction and processing, that's why the prices have gone up. That's on page 2.
Okay. And back to this story about Kenya, and the angle they've taken is a corruption angle. In Kenya, we talked more about how the deputy president has been accused of tribalism and lack of respect for his boss.
And what it will do to his career.
Yes. So the angle about him acquiring assets, including parcels of land and luxurious hotels, has not really been big in Kenya. But in Tanzania, that is what they go with. That, hey, wewe jamaa wa Kenya kule, is being accused of corruption. Well, those are the regional dailies, and we'll be back to take a look at the local ones later on. Let's take a look at the weather situation first. And we start off with, let's start off with Diani today. Holiday weather, proper holiday weather.
We love it. We love to start on a holiday. 25 degrees Celsius. Of course, there is some rain expected at 7 a.m., a 40% chance, and then going on to a 30% chance of rainfall. That's at 8 a.m. And of course, during the day, throughout the day, 29, 28 degrees, sunshine, a bit of cloud cover. But yeah, all in all, holiday weather indeed. Yes,
and as far as rain, 1.5 millimeters, nothing much to worry about. That's Diani. Let's cross over to Nyeri, which should be hot given the kind of politics we're experiencing now. But temperatures 15 degrees Celsius this morning.
Well, in Nimuli, I have to say today's temperature is 4 degrees lower than yesterday.
Oh, tells you the situation they're going through. Things are not really nice in Nyeri. People are not very happy.
All right, of course, 16, 17 degrees as of now until 10 a.m. And then it goes on to 22 degrees. That's the highs that Nyeri will be experiencing throughout the day. In the afternoon, 19 degrees at around 5, 21 degrees. So seems like all in all, it is quite a chilly day.
Chilly weather, perhaps indicative of the kind of politics.
Cloudy, all doom and gloom, I think. Seems to be.
Very little rainfall, 0.3 millimeters. So that's Nyeri. Let's take a look at Kisumu.
Kisumu is at 18 degrees. Well, currently it's now, well, it says now 20 degrees. And of course, that's throughout the day. Oh, wow. Holiday weather is also in Kisumu at 2. Well, from 1 all the way until 4, we're going to be seeing 29 degrees. So, yeah, the afternoon is going to be looking pretty hot, pretty sunny. The precipitation, the chance of rain, today's amount 0. No chance of rain whatsoever today. So, yes, a pleasant day in Kisumu there, looking like holiday weather. And what's happening in Nairobi? Well, seems like it's cold, 16 degrees. As you can see, it goes up to 24, 25 degrees throughout the afternoon. Looking good, not so bad, I must say.
Fair weather.
Fair weather. And of course, no chance of rain here in Nairobi as well. So all in all, a pleasant day in Nairobi. A bit chilly, so make sure you carry your sweater. But all in all, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day.
All right. Before we take a look at the papers, let's take a look at Today in History.
Today in History. On October 3rd in Uganda's history, a significant event took place in 1978. The Uganda-Tanzania War, also known as the Kagera War, began. This conflict was initiated when Ugandan forces, under the leadership of President Idi Amin, invaded the Kagera region of Tanzania. The invasion escalated into a full-scale war between Uganda and Tanzania, eventually leading to the overthrow of Amin's regime in April 1979.
Yes, and as promised, we have all the local dailies with us today, so let's get down and take a look at them. We kick off with the Star newspaper, which, yes, has gone on with the biggest discussion that has been making headlines and being the biggest talking points in bars, homes, schools, and everywhere else. And it's what's happening to the Deputy President. A very interesting angle to it. The Deputy President is under pressure to quit and, listen to this, seek asylum.
All right, impeachment devastating and could ruin the deputy president's political future. That's on page 4 and 5. Of course, political analysts have a lot to say about this and how he would possibly bounce back. Is there a chance of him bouncing back after getting impeached? What happens to him?
Perhaps the reason why they're suggesting that he should quit before the impeachment is actually conclusive.
So it doesn't ruin his career.
Yes, but even after impeachment, after quitting, he needs to get out of the country.
Seek asylum.
Seek asylum. Why? Because they say GACHAGUA'S allies fear a state clampdown would soon be launched after Dozier put out. So yes, it's indicative of some very dark times ahead. Not very interesting kind of headline to see in the front pages. Another discussion, and this I think has been on the back burner for a while now. Clerics oppose government plan to tax and police churches. Yes, we talked about it slightly last week after Danson Mungatana, the senator for Tana River, tabled this motion in the Senate. Now, churches have been very loud about this. It's yet to be debated because even public participation, but this is a form of public participation either way. Clerics are saying, no, don't go there. Usijaribu.
So yeah, seems like it's made it back to the newspapers today. A story that, remember, it keeps coming back for some reason. What happens next? What is the future of churches? And what happens when it comes to government's plans to tax churches? Will that go ahead? Will that happen? Well, time will tell.
A very interesting story on page 2 of this paper. Senator Christola Sige, among Time Magazine's 100 global influential leaders. It says her life is a masterclass in embracing the unexpected. This story is on page 2 of the Star. It's among the highlights at the bottom strip today. So yes, that's something positive that one of our nominated senators is on Time Magazine's 100 most global influential leaders.
Quite a milestone indeed. So congratulations to her. Moving on to some madness there. Kiambu man 30 arrested after hacking grandmother to death in quarrel over food.
Yeah, food.
Such a disturbing story there indeed. All right, moving on to efficient transport. World Bank pledges 65 billion shillings to transform City Rail network and help decongest Nairobi.
All right. And there's one more on matters health. Let's at least be fair to the Star. They did not totally ignore the story on health. So they say the Ministry of Health has ordered the Social Health Authority facilities to treat registered patients for free. So you just wait to see. There was a lot of pain, hue and cry about teething problems with the rollout of SHIF and SHA. And now the Ministry of Health has stepped in. SHIF and SHA. So that's the Star today. Let's take a look at the People Daily.
All right, now this particular newspaper focuses primarily on the healthcare side of things and not political side of things. It says the skunk in 104 billion shillings UHC tech upgrade. That's on page 4. Of course, that's the CS of Health. Up there, we can see an interesting photo of DP. That is Rigathi'S. MP is to receive 87.3 million shillings for GACHAGUA ouster bid.
So what happened yesterday, the members of the National Assembly had a special kamukunji to plan on how the public participation, which starts this Friday, will happen. And according to this story is that most of those who support this motion attended, and they were promised about 300,000 bob each to marshal, support or ensure that people in their constituencies turn out for that public participation. So 83 million shillings, 87 million shillings in total.
That was the total.
In total. Right. Yes, but you see the way the headline comes out. Hey, so why are you spending money to impeach the DP?
Speaking of impeachment, why KERICHO governor was impeached. And in Dimuli, we've been seeing a lot of stories about governors in the past who have been impeached. And these are now, coming on and they're being highlighted on the newspapers. And that's, of course, because this is the biggest story that we've been seeing for the past 2 weeks. And
it raises a very key issue here. Matters threat of impeachment.
Yes.
Will politicians or political leaders now be able to work going forward, given the fact that the houses of legislation, both at the county and national level, are keen on using impeachment as a tool to contain some maybe rogue or to contain some egos as well. So yes, the CS Mbadi House State borrowed 258 billion shillings in 3 months. Wow. And alarm over Kenyans in Lebanon war zone.
This actually has been trending on social media as well, where a lot of Kenyans have actually come out to ask for help because they are in Lebanon right now, and we do know what's been happening between Lebanon and Israel. Israel has fired missiles at Lebanon, still doing so up to date today as well. And of course, this is something that Kenyans out there are saying, because there's a majority, a huge number of Kenyans actually living and working in Lebanon as we speak.
All right, interesting. And you see that paper at the end,
Yes.
the next one after the papers. Now, that's a template that's in today's dailies
All right.
with regard to the public participation that's going to happen as from tomorrow for the deputy, for the impeachment of the deputy president. So this is a kind of document many people will have to interact with. Those who want to do so, they'll be asked some questions. They'll have to answer. Do you support this impeachment? Do you support this and the other about this impeachment? If at all you get any of the dailies, you'll get this flyer there as well. That's a People Daily.
Times ahead, the Standard, RUTO's loud silence. So yes, this particular newspaper has decided to focus primarily on the president and what the boss man says, what the head of state is talking about. Is he supportive of the historic move? And of course, the fact that he has not said anything. It's a loud silence, not just any sort of silence. And he quietly jetted back from the US on Monday and steered clear of his deputy Rigathi'S tribulations, even as Parliament began the process of removing him from office. Perhaps this is a signal that he is supportive of this historic move. And as the DP turns his attention to the Senate, where the trial proper will be conducted, it will be an uphill task, winning over at least a third of the 67 senators needed to scuttle the motion. And this particular story actually is covered on pages 4, 5, 6, and 7. 4 pages, full pages.
Enough acreage.
Yes.
for this story on the deputy president. Yes, the Standard also has featured or highlighted the story about health. New social health insurance serves patients more pain. That story is there on the bottom of the front page of this newspaper. Patients requiring life-saving procedures and terminally ill patients are facing uncertain times following the confusion attributed to the transition from the National Hospital Insurance Fund to the Social Health Insurance Fund. That story is on pages 8 and 9. Also given prominence, not as much as the deputy president on this paper, but still at least they've given coverage to that because it is a big deal.
All right, another impeachment right there for KERICHO County Governor, of course. That is Eric Mutai, who is also staring at turbulent times. After they voted, that is assembly members, they voted unanimously to impeach him. And this is a huge story, page 2. That's where they're covering it. Right at the bottom of that particular story, we are homeless. Kenyans stuck in Lebanon say as the Israeli war and Hezbollah rages on. Migrant workers are clearly in a difficult position, even as efforts to bring them home begins. Page 3 as well.
So yes, you can actually tell the trend. The big 3 stories: Middle East,
Yes.
health issues, and the deputy president's wars. So why state could lose 7 billion shillings in Hustler Fund is something that we talked about yesterday, with the indication that they could go or come after your airtime or M-Pesa. But they say, this story is on page 12 of this newspaper. Go read it for yourself, find out if at all ukulipa nini to happen.
What happens to you?
Yes. New jobs hope fades over slow growth. That's business. Israel targets Iran after Tel Aviv attacks. And matter sports, Man United, Porto test for Ten Hag. Ten Hag is still at work. You know, people are joking that between the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, and Ten Hag, who has more time left, he still is at work.
So
So
guess
is the
what?
deputy
Standing
president.
tall.
So the Europa League, Manchester United boss is under pressure to win against Porto today as they get into the Europa League. Quite a number of matches today being played at 7:45 p.m. and 10 p.m. in Matters Europa League. So fans of that league, go and watch it. For bigger teams like Arsenal, we were successful against PSG in the Champions League, not the Europa League, earlier in the week. Since it shall move on. Daily Nation.
Nightmare. Now, of course, this is what they say, a sick system. Across the country, patients are enduring a medical crisis of unspeakable horror. Their up-to-date NHIF cards have been disabled, while the new healthcare plan, that's a shift, is yet to take off due to rollout glitches. The transition meant to safeguard Kenyans' health and ease their suffering has actually instead left them stranded and in pain. That's on page 9. And this story right here, there's a photo of Anne. Cheptumoi, who actually weeps outside the Margaret Kenyatta Kenya Mother and Baby Wing at the Nakuru County Referral and Teaching Hospital yesterday after her 18-year-old daughter, who had given birth to a healthy baby at the facility, was actually detained over a 7,600 shilling bill.
Which initially would have been paid completely by the NHIF under the Linda Mama program.
Yes.
And that's what many people are complaining, that yes, you did away with the NHIF, some of the programs that people had already paid for and were expecting those benefits. Now with this shift, now they have to go back. Hata kama uko umejipanga, pesa utatoa pale pale.
Things currently in limbo when it comes to the Ministry of Health. Let's see what happens. And of course, doctors also cannot treat patients before getting clearance from Social Health Authority. So things are at a standstill.
Yes, they may say these are teething problems, but for how long? And when it comes to matters life or death, do you really have room for teething problems?
If there's a patient right there who is on the verge of death and you're waiting for clearance from Social Health Authority.
Yeah. So the other story that I think has been captured here, and not on any other front page, is this outrage of a 7-year term for president and MPs. So yes, yesterday I think it went through the second reading. It's supposed to go through public participation as well.
Yes.
It would require some amendment to the constitution, but there was a lot of opposition. A lot of comments criticizing this move, but then again, what can you say?
That's another story that was actually trending on X yesterday, where people were just saying all sorts of things on social media.
But you know what?
And the anger is quite visible.
With the newfound alliance between ODM and Kenya Kwanza, which we now see is making impeachment of a deputy president so easy, which was, previously wasn't that possible.
Yes.
Now, what could happen with a proposed amendment through the parliamentary method? They can simply marshal numbers through the National Assembly and the Senate.
Make it happen.
So even this one, hapana jokes, chunga sana. That's the Daily Nation today.
Shif machungu tele. Maelfu ya wagonjwa wakosa huduma hospitali zikisisitiza wagonjwa walipe pesa la taslimu mitambo ya kwama. How did I do?
Oh yes, you tried. I thought you would go for this number.
No, this is too much. A step at a time.
So wagonjwa waliokuwa wakitegemea hazina ya kitaifa ya bima ya hospitali NHIF waliendelea kukatizika huku mpango mpya wa afya ya huduma ya jamii SHIF ukifeli, hata baada ya serikali kusisitiza kila Mkenya anafaa kujisajili ili kupokea huduma. So yes, hue and cry across the country over this matter of health. So yes, it is the biggest discussion, and we are glad that it's been given prominence on all the front pages.
Of course, up there, that is the KERICHO Governor Eric Mutai talking about his impeachment as well. And then on that side, the Middle Eastern issues when it comes to Iran, when it comes to Israel, when it comes to Lebanon. Israel, by the way, is also planning now to attack Tel Aviv. Yet again, not Tel Aviv, rather, Iran. And I feel like this is... Tehran, and this is something that we will be finding out what happens next.
All right. And as we come up, journalists talking to Mwananchi and asking, what do you think about GACHAGUA'S impeachment? Mwananchi says, I care less.
I hope the MPs will impeach themselves too.
Yes, so MPs, if that is what you're busy with, go ahead, impeach the deputy president, impeach yourself, impeach yourself, go home, all of you. So that's the same one. Yes, at least the Daily Nation focuses on matters health, moving this patient from NHIF to SHA, and you can see the trouble they have. This patient is a bit resistant and just transitioning from one ambulance to another. So NHIF to SHA. Finally, on the People Daily.
Mr. President, your allies are slaughtering your deputy, and guess what? There is a big zip on his mouth.
Who's deputy? Did I have one?
Yeah, he's completely quiet. As you can see, he's pulling the zip back.
Yes, the Standard calls it.
And look at the ears.
He's hearing nothing and saying nothing.
Hearing nothing, he's saying nothing.
Right.
Hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil.
They should have covered his eyes as well. They call it the loud silence of the president on the big, that's a big headline on the Standard. And we'll be talking about this on State of the Nation with Wilson Sosion. Our guest this morning on State of the Nation, Wilson Sosion, a former SG KNUT, also a former member of the National Assembly. Do stand by for that. And yes, at 8,
We'll be talking matters attention. We have a doctor in studio, and after that, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., it's all about fitness Thursday right here. So make sure you get your sports shoes on and get ready to get moving right here on TV 47.
Let's take a break now. We'll be back after this.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one we're going to do.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the big headlines today, and they're many and varied. Today, the dailies have given prominence to matters health. Of course, still getting to mention the Deputy President's woes with that impeachment motion that's already before the National Assembly. Other stories given prominence on the front pages include what's happening in KERICHO with the impeachment of Governor Eric Mutai, as well as what's happening to Kenyan workers in Lebanon with the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. This morning we're privileged to have in studio Bwana Wilson Sosion. Bwana Sosion is a former Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, also has served as a Member of Parliament. Karibu sana Bwana Sosion.
Yeah, thank you, Freddie.
It is important that we mention that today's panel also consists of Barak Muluka and Professor Peter Kagwanja. Unfortunately, both gentlemen sent out their apologies late into the night. Yesterday, we were not able to get their replacements that late into the night. I don't know kama they developed cold feet, Bwana Sosion. We were hoping to have a very robust discussion.
None of us can speak for them, and you know better.
Yes. So yes, we still hope to get them sometime next week. But Bwana Barak Muluka sent his apologies. He said he's under the weather, and Professor Peter Kagwanja too sent his apologies late yesterday evening. So today we have Bwana Sosion on the set, and we'll continue with this discussion with him. So yes, while the new healthcare plan, the SHIF, is yet to take off due to rollout glitches, the transition meant to safeguard Kenyans' health and ease their suffering has instead left them stranded and in pain. That story is on page 9, and they give a case study there of Miss Anna Cheptunui, who's 50 years old, and she was weeping yesterday at the Margaret Kenyatta Mother and Baby Wing at the Nakuru County Referral and Teaching Hospital after her 18-year-old daughter, who had given birth to a healthy baby at the facility under the Linda Mama program, was detained over 7,500 shillings. This story was also covered by our team from TV47. Let's watch that story, then come back and take a look at it.
At the Vihiga County Referral Hospital, we visit the male ward where we meet Peter Esendi, ailing from a heart condition. Esendi has been admitted in this hospital for more than 4 weeks and is now in distress as he will be forced to cater for the hospital bills using cash as his NHIF card is no longer operational.
Nimekaa hapa hospitali mwezi moja, nadaiwa shilingi 70,000 na 200 na kitu juu. NHIF imekuwa shida, nilienda huko chini, wakaniambia akaunti yangu hawajatuma pesa yoyote.
The situation is not different among other patients in this hospital.
Sina njia ingine because I've been buying drugs. Kama hii drug ya meningitis nimenunua over 20,000.
In Nakuru County, patients with chronic illnesses, including those in need of kidney dialysis, have been left stranded as the NHIF to SHA transitions gains momentum. Many forced to pay in cash to access medical services.
Sasa tunauliza serikali, kama tunaitishwa pesa kama hii, wanataka tuende wapi? What do we do? Ama wamedeclare death sentence on dialysis patients.
Remember, we have scheduled clients for the 116 sessions within a week, and we have to seek a space for the influxes that are coming in.
The Ministry of Health and the SHA Board have started transferring data of the about 9 million NHIF registered members to the new Social Health Authority, with Kenyans receiving an SMS alerting them on the same.
And to send them messages to tell them to confirm the migration by dialing *147#.
The SHA Board has confirmed that there have been challenges in the rollout as claims processing have been stalled because of the biometrics failure.
The registration process, I would say, was successful up to about 85%. And why I'm not giving it 100% is because it was evident that when many people tried to get into the system got clogged.
In a statement sent to newsrooms, the Ministry of Health, through the Principal Secretary for Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, has urged health facilities to ensure no patient is turned away and that essential treatments such as kidney dialysis, cancer care, and maternity services remain fully accessible. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Story on most of the headlines today matters health. Bwana Sosion, yes, it's well and good that this is a system that is ideal and designed to work, but it's been a long time coming, and the government must have spent quite some considerable amount of time considering this. So the question many people are asking, when it comes to matters life and death, is it okay to say that these are simply teething problems? Because yes, people could end up dying. Some may never afford to get out of hospital because of this glitch.
I don't think it's the right thing to allow Kenyans suffer the facility and you call it teething problems. The rollout of UHC should be executed with military precision, with no unnecessary complaints, because for it being universal means the services are seamless, of high quality, and of high standards. Because then the health sector under the SHA, the Social Health Authority, which is an entire ecosystem of SHIV, the primary health care facilities, the Critical Illnesses Act and facility improvement, is a strong ecosystem that with time is going to deliver a robust healthcare delivery service for all. So I don't think we've had 1 year of transition, and I think we should ask hard questions. What has been happening over the last 1 year in preparation for this transition? How have the stakeholders been prepared, the service providers, both public and private, how have they been prepared for the same? And just to write a good story home, I saw yesterday a communication from the Chief Executive of Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital, giving an account of what happened, what is happening at the facility. And this is a CEO who has prepared the facility. You can see someone who understands what UHC is. And the communication dated yesterday saying today we've had 61 chemotherapy patients attended to, 39 dialysis patients attended to, and 10 patients in endoscopy unit, among others. And have received care fully covered by SHA, with their bills covered through the newly rolled out scheme. So to me, there's a lot that goes into the rollout. How have you prepared the facilities? And how are they?
Is it an issue of communication? Because now, if at all it's working,
it's not an issue of communication. I'm only giving an example.
If at all that one facility can be successful in doing so, the expectation would have been yes.
Because why do you exist as a duly registered facility and you are not prepared for the UHC? Because I don't think any medical facility, whether private or public, that is registered and is operating in Kenya can really frustrate patients for one reason or the other.
There's a highlight on the front page of the Star. They are saying the Ministry of Health has ordered SHA facilities to treat registered patients for free. Is the issue now probably registration of people?
It is possible for registration to continue. I've worked in this space at NHIF, and I've been in the healthcare service for a long time as an advocate and as a leader of teachers. There is nothing difficult with registering patients as a report for illness.
Yes.
There is nothing completely difficult because they will come with their IDs, they have their phone numbers, they can be assisted. The registration can go on in the medical facilities as such cases report for treatment. All we need, I think we've had a healthcare system that has been dogged with corruption and a lot of malfunction. That is a fact. Because I was giving you a case example of what is happening at KU Teaching and Referral. You can see what the CEO is communicating, and you can imagine how those 60 patients have gone through the chemotherapy treatment, how those 39 cases have gone through dialysis. Can you imagine 39 cases going through dialysis and fully factored on the SHA? So if all the CEOs of all the facilities could do the right thing and could be at the forefront, in implementing the UHC in totality, because it is very easy to document how many patients have reported and what have you done with those patients.
Yet KUTTRH is probably a level 5, level 6 hospital, because it is a top referral hospital. Health is a devolved function. Probably the failure is at the county level, because the example given on the front page of the Daily Nation is that the Nakuru County Referral and Teaching Hospital that is unable to do this, that is straight under the control of the county government.
Let me make one correction. UHC covers all medical facilities, from primary healthcare facilities, that is the dispensaries, all through to level 6, covering both public and private. It is not selected facilities that will participate in UHC. By law and practice, all facilities must roll out, must implement the UHC fully. So there's no exception. I agree with you. It begs the question, what is the role of county governments in implementing this program? Considering even that health is a devolved function. To me, I would expect, because I got this post from the Governor Elgeyo Marakwet, I would expect a lot of concerted enthusiasm by those deeply involved, particularly the governors and the aligned personnel at the counties, together with the community health promoters and with the line ministry nationally, to work together as a team to mobilize. It is not about rollout, it's about implementation, because it means by law from 1st of October, all Kenyans should be treated under SHA. And for that to be done, they must register. And it is possible to register, as I said, as they report to the facilities, so that the hospitality and handling of patients in the facilities should be one of the best. We can't have delayed services, pre-authorization, and it is not clear who is being covered and who is being covered. All those administrative things should be executed at that level.
It would also appear that...
I agree with you. The county should be at the forefront, because where are the dispensaries? The dispensaries are located at the lowest level, at the ward level.
Yes.
So that brings in the ward representatives, the chiefs, and the county government, so that then there should be daily reports and daily communication. What is it that should be communicated to the public at the end of the day?
Yesterday, quite a number of Kenyans received, especially those in formal employment, received texts from SHA informing them that they had been successfully transferred from the NHIF database and their profiles are now with the SHIF. And one wonders, that kind of transition, which appeared seamless, if at all, probably is indicative that the government is more focused on collecting from the monies from the formal employees at the end of the month with a 2.75%.
Why are you collecting the money, Fred? Why are you collecting the money? You are collecting the money to implement this program. It's implemented using money. And the money that is deducted from the employees, the workers who are on payroll, through social solidarity, is for treatment. There are those who may never be treated out of sheer statistics. There are those who may never attend such facilities for treatment. This is social solidarity, pooling resources through the spirit of social solidarity. Medical insurance is based on social solidarity. I give so that one of my colleagues who gets sick is treated, or if I get sick, I am treated. And transferring the system, I agree very strongly, transferring the entire database from NHIF to SHA seamlessly for every member, every contributor, and being communicated to is the right thing, and is the easiest thing. What does it mean?
It should have happened way before.
Message mean? What does that message mean? It means if you are in the database, then you are entitled to the rights of treatment for yourself and the member of your family with effect from that time.
Shouldn't such moves have happened way before? After all, you said there had been a whole year of preparation.
That should have happened.
This is like almost second, third day into the month.
In fact, we should not be dealing with that now. If transitional work was done well, because for us, in as much as we are popularizing the government programs, we are also not shy to point out where there are gaps, and those are gaps for improvement. We must be empirical and truthful. During the last 1 year period of transition, despite the challenges of court cases and so many other challenges, but then there should have been by at least 2 months to the envisaged date of rollout, things to do with data transfer and data framework should have been concluded, including even registration. You cannot talk of 1 point something million Kenyans having enrolled in SHIF on 1st of October. What are you doing for the last 1 year?
Exactly.
Because the first step should have been transfer the data for those who are known. The true original owners of NHIF are workers right from 1966, and through UHC we are onboarding the rest of Kenyans, and before onboarding the rest of Kenyans, the primary owners, those on payroll, whom you can get the money so easily, should have been educated, been taken through a lot of civic education, because this is a social thing. And being a social program, a lot of civic education is required. And I think civic education, right to information, is a provision in the Constitution, and the Ministry of Health should have conducted very extensive civic education in liaison with the Council of Governors and prepared all the workers who are on the payroll so that they can understand their rights and privileges within the framework, and then so that then challenges can be projected in advance and dealt with. And if those on payroll could have been prepared well in advance, then it would be very easy to get down to the indigents, those who are self-employed, and those who cannot pay at all. It would be very easy. But then when you have to deal with all the challenges at once, it is a problem. But as per government position, this cannot be postponed, because a sick person, you cannot defer the treatment of a sick person. The
National Assembly would have played a better role as representatives of the people in ensuring that matters health are given prominence, and that some of these loopholes are sealed, because there are departmental committees.
What would be the role of National Assembly?
The Departmental Committee on Health would question the readiness.
And I think at the moment, the Departmental Committee of Health in the National Assembly, both houses, should be at the forefront in tracking the rollout, so that they can deal with the gaps, they can deal with the malpractices.
And probably that's why they...
No, they need to do that. They need to do that, because it is alive. That committee is in place, it's alive. It has the responsibility of oversight, and we have seen them trying to do so. They should do so qualitatively and effectively. It has the responsibility of ensuring that the legislation that are in place, which they have done very well, fantastic. There are 4 pieces of legislation. The legislation, there is no doubt, but we are not sure whether there are regulations within the entire ecosystem, so that you have regulations guiding all the implementation programs within, and then representation of the people where there are issues being raised. They should now be very sensitive. This is where all the MPs, members of parliament, should be tracking.
Especially senators at the county.
No, all of them, any elected leader, because matters health is not left to a few individuals. It's everybody, particularly when you're implementing. Should be tracking it as an issue of the moment, as an item of the day. Should be checking the views of the constituents, the challenges they are facing. Like, for example, a matter like this one, which it's in Nakuru County, and I'm sure the governor must have seen it, and she should be taking some action, and the elected leaders and all of them should be checking on this. So I think it is a wake-up call to all the organs that are relevant to seriously track what is happening. We should see regular reports and regular forums of the committees of both houses, the Committee of Council of Governors on Health, that is chaired by Mudomi Njuki. I've seen Mudomi Njuki speak a lot and pointing out and giving recommendations and suggestions on gaps. But more importantly, we should see all these parties giving progress reports. And probably I think we may also need a forum of chief executive officers of all health facilities, because the real work is at the facility. And it is the chief executive officer who supervises all the programs that goes on within the medical facility, together with the medical superintendents of those facilities. And if every medical facility can have a daily report, at least for this initial period, like what we have seen with KU teaching and referral, we should also see in all these other facilities, including even the dispensaries. The people at that local level should know the activities that have gone on within the primary health care facility that particular day. Then we'll know that the challenge is about personnel, the challenge is about drugs, the challenge is about the community health promoters, and I can tell you, if we all mobilize Kenyans to focus on implementation of this program everywhere within the country, within a month, we'll have a very good story to tell.
The only problem is that a month might be too long for some people. It is a matter of life and death, and rightly so. Quite a number of headlines have given this issue prominence, including the Daily Nation that talks about shift being a nightmare and a sick system, and doctors cannot even treat patients before getting clearance from SHA. On the Star, the front page, they say that the Ministry of Health has ordered SHA facilities to treat registered patients for free. That story is on page 8, and probably you should take note of this. On the Standard, they talk about new social health insurance serving patients more pain. The People Daily has gone with something else related to health but matters money. The skunk in the 104 billion shilling UHC tech upgrade. And talking of tech, that data, many Kenyans may have received that text informing them that they had been successfully moved from NHIF to SHIF automatically, meaning they probably may be able to access some of the benefits. On the front page of Taifa Leo anasema SHIF machungu tele, maelfu ya wagonjwa wakosa huduma hospitali, zikisisitiza wagonjwa walipe pesa taslimu na mitambo ya kwama pia. So it is a big discussion, and we do acknowledge that the fact that the dailies today at least have given this story prominence. On previous days they've given too much prominence on what's happening with the impeachment of the deputy president, which we will definitely talk about. You're watching Morning Cafe. Let's take a short break. We'll be back with more.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youth and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching Morning Cafe right here, TV 47 with me, Freddie Ndimuli, and I'm still in studio with the former Secretary General of KNUT, a person who dealt with workers' rights. That's why we dealt so much on matters health before the break. He's also been a member of the National Assembly, and the next discussion we want to go into is before the Senate. It's on the front page of the Daily Nation. It caused quite some hue and cry yesterday. Outrage over 7-year term for president, MPs, and this also extends to governors and MCAs. This according to the proposed constitution amendment by Samson Cherargei, the senator for Nandi. So a proposal to extend the term of the president and other elected leaders from 5 to 7 years has been met with outrage, with some describing the plan as impractical and dead on arrival. Constitutional and governance experts and members of parliament have also termed the proposal by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei as a diversionary tactic. Do you agree with them that this is simply a diversionary tactic? Senator Cherargei has been talking about this for over a year now.
What Cherargei is talking about is, I would say, is being politically mischievous, trying to ignite a controversial debate that is divisive. And it's not necessary to apply such energy in proposing something that is very outrageous. One thing I can tell you for sure, with the level of democracy that we've come as a country, the struggle that we have made, that now we have, I would say, a world-class democracy as a country. Because if you want to know this, the level of our democracy, visit the jurisdiction around us. Visit, let me not name names, and visit many countries in Africa. That is when you'll appreciate the level of freedom and democracy that we have in this country. We cannot walk backwards. We can only progress. We can improve. We can make what we have to be better. I don't think anybody being elected to the presidency has intentions of serving beyond the stipulated time limit. In Africa, we are trying to democratize the continent and allow and make sure that the term limits apply and leaders don't stay on in power for long. There must be changeover and transition, and there must be shift of leadership even to the younger generation. That's a fact. Even here in Kenya, leadership is shifting to the young generation. In the coming years, we shall have a young president, and that's a good thing. Now, to talk, to dream, and to imagine that you can extend the term of a president to 7 years, one term 7 years, or even to delay an election, we know the election in Kenya is done every 5 years in the month of August, in the first Tuesday. True or not true?
True.
It is known. So the calendar is known, like the US. the first Tuesday of November. So even to delay from that first Tuesday to a Wednesday is a contravention of the Constitution and the democratic rights of the people.
It is no longer a dream or an imagination. This is a bill to amend the Constitution.
But let me tell you, I saw a statement yesterday by the UDA Secretary General, and I think he used the right things. Hassan Omar, he said, it is outrageous, it is ridiculous to make such a proposal. And I would also say it is backward and primitive. Okay. One thing I know, and I would say here, President William Ruto is here for a 5-year term, renewable for a further 5-year term, ending on the first Tuesday of August 2032. And everyone should prepare.
Yet this is a proposal to amend the Constitution and has other proposals as well, including creating the office of the Prime Minister, which discussions even the President has been supporting.
No problem.
Now the issue is, and where the concern is coming from, is the fact that a lot has changed in the Houses of Parliament with the kind of voting support or voting blocks that have been created with the newfound alliance between ODM and Kenya Kwanza. Now, more than ever before, an amendment to the Constitution, which has so far not been successful 14 years later, through the parliamentary process, could be possible, given the fact that ODM and Kenya Kwanza can even marshal 291 members to support an impeachment motion.
I am sure you are not a visitor in Kenya. There was BBI. Many of us supported it.
Back then there was a split across.
And we voted in Parliament, yes. I think almost 70% to support it. But when it landed in court, the court made very stern and severe interpretation that stopped the process. It is not very easy to amend the Constitution if you want to amend it the wrong way, and if you want to adulterate with materials that are not progressive. Remember the doctrine of the basic structure and how the judges read it out? I think we have one of the most robust and independent judiciary that is able to interpret law and stop anybody intent on engaging in unconstitutionalities. The manner of amending the Constitution is clearly outlined. It can be popular initiative originated from the citizen. It can be originated from Parliament. It is very clear how it is done and how the process is done. But then, even the American Constitution, it has gone through amendments, but very progressive, democratic amendments that are good enough. But you see, when we propose amendments to dismantle and to work against the spirit of the Constitution, those will not see light of day. And if we must amend the Constitution, and there are many proposals that have come up, it should be via an audit of the Constitution. There has to be a process of auditing that I would say, yes, 14 years down the line, what gains have we made? What are the gaps? 14 years down the line, do we still need affirmative action? Say, for example, gender, 2/3 gender rule. Don't you think we have achieved it? It is not a forever thing. It has time limit. And there are many things that needs to be done. What is it that has not been fully implemented? And let me tell you, Fred, because from the civil society and trade union, we were part of active groups that we sat in Bomas during the Bomas, and we discussed the Kilifi draft, and we took a resolution as teachers and as union to vote down Kilifi draft. We negotiated for non-contentious constitution 2010 and agreed and negotiated that is how we brought in TSC as a constitutional commission, I can tell you. And therefore it is to come and dismantle the gains that were made is not going to be easy.
Look at, for example, has been for the last 2 years that we
look at for example, yes, it can be amended, but through an audit. It is through a civilized, orderly audit where Kenyans can be convinced that certain things are required. If we need the office of the official leader of opposition, because we have seen during election, you cannot have a runner-up with almost 50% of the population and support of the country being thrown to nowhere. We have to create a decent office. Those are convincing things that need to be discussed with the citizens. And then we draft the referendum question, and then we put it in the referendum. And this country also requires a referendum bill, a referendum act, so that then it becomes easy for IEBC to be conducting
the same
orderly
that
referendum.
the Senate has begun here through this bill.
But of course, he has begun it the wrong way. By cherry-picking, you cherry-pick the presidency and say, we want the president to last for 9 years.
It's not just the president. It's actually all elected leaders, governors, MCAs, and senators, National Assembly members, all of them.
In fact, if you take it to 9 years, if you take it to 7 years, for example, you'll see Kenyans impeaching a significant number of them. In fact, what I would propose is that we go for a constitutional amendment. If I was asked, if we must, then reduce the term limit from 5 to 4 years. We practice what we do in the American system. And then we separate presidential election moment.
Because some of these proposals are even contained in the NADCO report, and the president has
overextension.
No, not that one. That one I think is the most controversial. But issues around even revenue allocation to counties, issues around creation of other offices apart from those that are constitutionally there, they are contained in this bill.
They are contained in the report. And those are very progressive issues. And it was technically done by a technical committee, which was which did its work, but I think we will still need an audit of the Constitution. And when you do an audit of the Constitution, it is a more professional way of doing it. It will not be seen as being political, that people want to advance certain personal interests, but issues being advanced will be for the good of the country. And if a proper audit of the Constitution is done, even what is in the NADCO report will be captured, and we'll be able to see what is irrelevant. Things like what Cherargei is proposing will be sieved out, and we'll be able to isolate the most urgent things that can be agreed by Kenyans. And we can have an uncontested referendum with questions that are very clear. If Kenyans can agree, for example, if we do it through a thorough process, because I don't think, since the hardest thing was to make the Constitution, we have it.
Is there a necessity to do it before 2027? That's a question. Because
no. Talk of a review of the Constitution should not be tied to elections. The Constitution exists to bring constitutional order and governance of a country throughout. So it should not be tied to elections. If you tie it to elections, then you'll politicize the process. We should do it for purposes of posterity. And at a time that those amendments are actualized, then those amendments become very historic and they take effect from that moment. And review of the Constitution, it can even be done 2 or 3 times in between elections, or not at all, or it can be done after 10 years. So let us not tie it to elections. Let us keep moving. If there is a NADCO report now, and that NADCO report, if it points out to the agency, then it is going to trigger a proper process. That even if that process is litigated in court, the court will qualify it as acceptable. The problem that we have had is that we have been using shortcuts to achieve selfish motives before election. That is where we go wrong.
But do you agree that finally the Houses of Parliament could be able now to kickstart and push through because of the numbers now? That now a parliamentary process...
Not because of numbers.
Because of numbers.
I think we should get away from numbers.
How can we ignore the numbers? We've seen how they work.
Let us get away from numbers. Let's get the philosophy.
The numbers
not the
do
numbers.
matter.
Let's get the philosophy. Let's get the philosophy. If we get the philosophy, because we, in a democracy like this one, we persuade ourselves. It's about persuasion, and it's about issues. If you look at Vision 2030, it says we are supposed to transform our politics so that they are issue-based. So the other item is constitutional review. You don't wake up and say, oh, now that there is a broad-based government and UDA and ODM have come together, then now we can push this. That is a wrong philosophy.
Isn't it the same thing same thing we said about a possible impeachment?
That is a wrong philosophy premised on selfishness. Let's agree the country in principle and philosophically requires these amendments. Originate those amendments, convince Parliament, convince the public, conduct civic education, and then formulate the referendum questions, prepare a budget for the same. Check and ensure that the process is within the law, within the constitution, and it doesn't dismantle the intended spirit and letter of the constitution, but then it progresses it.
Okay.
Yeah, if we did that, that would be okay. Let's not look at numbers. That is looking at things quantitatively. We should look at qualitative aspect. We want a qualitative constitution.
We are in an area where the quantitative aspect is proving more powerful than the qualitative one. And speaking of numbers, there's a story that features on the front pages of at least the Standard and the Daily Nation, and that's the impeachment of KERICHO Governor Eric Mutai. It happened yesterday. It's on page 6 of the Daily Nation. 31 of the 47 ward representatives vote to send Eric Mutai home, to the chagrin of the governor's legal team. So the KERICHO governor has been impeached despite a court order stopping debate on the motion. 31 of the county's 47 ward representatives voted for the motion, while the remaining boycotted the session. The motion was tabled by one of the members there, and Dr. Mutai did not appear at the assembly but sent a legal team comprising Katwa Kigen and Manasseh Tunen. Now, the threat of impeachment, because we'll even get to talk about the impeachment of the deputy president, the threat of impeachment, especially at the county level, is getting real. And do you see that probably we are getting to a point where this could be used, or it could be weaponized to ensure that some county bosses are unable to perform?
I don't think it's going to be weaponized. It was placed in the constitution so that it is utilized. It is a tool that now is being utilized. Fred, if you look at the implementation of the constitution by the people of Kenya and exercising the provisions of the constitution, it is becoming progressive with times. For example, the budget making process, it was stated that it's going to be publicly conducted and driven by Parliament. If you look at other jurisdictions within East Africa, the budget is done by the minister, read by the minister, and it's final, nobody questions. But here in Kenya, the budget is processed by Parliament through the process of public participation. But you've seen when the constitution was implemented, Kenyans were not very actively involved in the two bills. The finance bill, which outlines the revenue collection measures and levels of taxation, and the appropriation bill. Kenyans were not very focused. But we've seen over time, for example, 2023, Kenyans were very robust about questioning the finance bill 2023 and even seeking ways of stopping it, which is a good thing. And they're also questioning the appropriation bill. What is allocation and what is it doing? And various groups lobbying for resources for the different areas. Yeah, that is the ultimate, I would say, twerking point of participation of citizens in the budget making. In 2024, you saw the vigorous pressure that came around to stop the finance bill 2024, and it was actually stopped. And you can see the reasoning that went back to Parliament, and still Kenyans are reasoning. So we cannot say with certainty that Kenyans have fully utilized this constitution. Let's come back to the impeachment. It is a provision. It has been used in the past. Of course, successfully or not very successfully. It could have been weaponized against certain individuals in the past, without allowing the substance of facts of law and the constitution to prevail. But we have seen over time the manner in which the Senate is dealing with the impeachments is actually fair, and people are coming to appreciate that the Senate becomes a quasi-judicial process, and it interrogates the facts of law and facts of the Constitution, and it votes on that. So looking at the impeachment of governors, there is going to be more, because let me tell you, Fred, the fact is devolved governance, and if you look at the report, the 10-year report of 2022, there are a lot of gaps about governance. Corruption was devolved, there are a lot of issues about bad governance, and therefore calling out governors was a necessary action. And now you can see quite a number of governors are being impeached through active process of active processes of the MCS.
A more political angle than legal.
It is being executed. Of course, the two will combine, they will blend. There is nothing that is done in the world that whose substratum is not politics, is not political. Anything that is done in the world, in any economy, is political. And impeachment was meant to deal with the political class. That is a tool that was meant to control, to manage the political class.
You are a governor, and I would your say, opponent if decides that you're going out, if Kenyans needs to marshal the numbers in the
even if you want to weaponize, you must weaponize using facts of law and the Constitution. You cannot do where there are no facts. Then that impeachment is dead on arrival, at whatever level. It will die. And so I dare say Kenyans did not utilize the impeachment effectively. And now where we are, they will utilize. And to me, I encourage, utilize. Don't waste time, because if you have a bad governor, if you have a bad state officer, say a minister or anybody, occupying government office and doing wrong things, breaching the Constitution, breaching the law, and therefore falling short of integrity, don't postpone. File impeachment, impeachment motion, discuss, put it to vote. And so I think with this, governance is going to be moderated in this country. The power of the people shall be exercised to control governance and to ensure that they are transparent and accountable
Yet you also agree that there's a possibility it could be weaponized. How else or how best can we ensure that this process remains a very consequential process in as far as improving the leadership of this country and not simply being executed for political expediency?
It should not be weaponized.
But it is possible.
It should be based on facts. And you see, if you look at the whole of the whole process, in the past, it was weaponized against certain individuals. But where we are now is about facts of issues.
What has changed?
Yeah, and you can see, look at every item, every piece of impeachment that has come up. Are there grounds? The grounds have been cited, and those that have been weaponized have fallen flat. They have collapsed. Either they will collapse at the Senate, or they will collapse at the courts of law. That's a fact. There are corridors to provide rights and protection of the individuals being impeached. The rights of individuals are also protected. And so, since Kenyans had not fully utilized this, and we are seeing the wave, they are now able to utilize it, but within the presence of Constitution and the law. I look at, for example, this one of KERICHO. There was a court order stopping the process, isn't it? Did the assembly comply?
No, they
did not. That becomes a question at the next level. Then there's a question of numbers. 2/3, 31 out of 47 is 2/3 of 47 is 31.3. So 0.3, there is no 0.3 of a human being. Instead of that 0.3, then it means 32. So simple mathematics in the 2/3 is that there should have been 32 voting out of 47. Those are question that will be interpreted at another level. So that then 31 did not meet the threshold. So already there are issues around this one of KERICHO of one, not complying, the assembly not complying with the court order, and actually the mathematics on the number, which I think the next level, I've seen the clerk, the speaker has written to the speaker of the county has written to the speaker of the Senate. So the speaker of the Senate, because there are legal minds, let's agree, there are legal minds everywhere who will guide, and they will be able to advise correctly that here a law has been preached, here the threshold has been met, and therefore the impeachment can be entertained. So the person being impeached has a duty to defend himself and marshal evidence, and you also marshal your legal team, because all these are about facts of law, the Constitution, and breach of rules. So I would say impeachment should not be weaponized. And it is not going to be easy to weaponize if we stick to the corridors of facts of Constitution, law, and rules. And therefore, anybody should be impeached.
Let's stay with that.
And if you are innocent, the tail end outcome is that you will be acquitted.
All right.
That's a fact.
Let's now focus on the bigger impeachment motion, and that's against the Deputy President. It was tabled earlier this week before the National Assembly. They've already set out time to debate the matter. They've already invited the Deputy President and given him an opportunity, 2 hours on Tuesday evening, to defend himself. But the headlines today talk about something else. On the Standard, they talk about RUTO's loud silence. President RUTO quietly jetted back from the US on Monday, steered clear of his deputy Rigathi'S tribulations, even as Parliament began the process of removing him from office, perhaps signaling the head of state is supportive of the historic move. Do you read anything in the president's silence on this matter? This is his deputy. The fact that he has stayed awake, steered clear, yet this is the very first time we're experiencing an impeachment in the presidency.
Those of you who have worked with the president, I have myself. One thing about the president, if the Constitution is mentioned, or the decision of the people is mentioned, or a decision of the court is mentioned, the president will respect, and that's a no-go zone for him. And I'm sure, afraid, when you know you are in this country, when he was sworn in, he said this country will be a country of the rule of law and the Constitution, and that all of us must rise up to the occasion. Many times, court orders have been issued against many programs that the president would have intended to implement. And he has always complied. He's always at the forefront in ensuring that this is complied to. I don't think the president is intent in interfering.
Yet you said,
listen.
You agreed that it is a very political process.
Listen. It is political, but where there are legal and sovereign freedom of institutions to do what they want to do, the president cannot interfere. He definitely won't. Parliament exercising its power to oversight, up to and including impeachment, the president will never stop you. He will not. Even any of his ministers, if he's impeached, he is not going to stop Parliament from doing that. We saw what happened with Linturi. He allowed the whole process, and we were seeing some pressure. We the Meru people, we did ABCD, we voted. But you see, that's a no-go zone. If it is about the constitution of the law and oversight, one thing I admire with the president, he will not be there for you. You'll be there for yourself, because at the end of the day, we are accountable for our own individual action. And for me, I'm happy when the president keeps quiet, he doesn't get involved, let him concentrate on his duties as the president, because if the president himself is impeached as a person, it becomes his own cross and his own pardon and his struggle with it. So kila mtu on impeachment, kila mtu abebe msalaba yake.
It is one of the stories that was filed by one of our reporters at TV47. Let's watch that story and come back and continue this discussion.
Take the nearest seat.
The efforts to oust Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua are approaching fever pitch. The whole country ablaze with the debate on the audacious and unprecedented plan. Interestingly, amid the high-octane scheming and speculation, the president's silence on the matter speaks volume. In another potentially significant move, the DP himself has kept off from public appearances since Saturday, while the president's itinerary looked full and busy. For instance, this Wednesday alone, President William Ruto was busy at State House, engaging the East African community through their Secretary General Veronica Nduva. He also spent quality time at Uhuru Gardens, Nairobi, for the opening ceremony of the magical Kenya Travel Expo, after which he engaged a delegation of current and former governors and mayors of Africa and philanthropists under the umbrella of the African mayoral leadership at State House, Nairobi. In all these meetings, the president chose not to talk about matters politics. As it were, hanging in the air is the statement by DP Rigathi Gachagua while engaging members of the press drawn from the larger Rift Valley region that the impeachment motion would not have proceeded to parliament without the blessing of President William Ruto.
Siku nilimuuliza hiyo maneno, nilisikiza kwa umbali, alikanusha na akanihakikishia ya kwamba hawezi kubali maneno kama hayo. Lakini sasa ile kitu inashangaza ni ya kwamba wabunge wa Rift Valley ndio wako kipaumbele kuchukua masignature kusema wanataka kunifukuza kwa kazi.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, yes, the president has remained silent. Even the deputy president has gone quiet over the past 2 days since the impeachment motion kicked in. Many people have been talking about whether or not the deputy president could allow the process to go to its logical conclusion. And if successful, a successful impeachment would have serious implications on the political future of the deputy president. So far, he has stayed put. Yes, despite the obvious numbers in the National Assembly, meaning that the process so far looks like a done deal.
Once an impeachment is filed, it ceases being political. Facts of law apply. Specific grounds of accusation, because you are expected, if you are impeaching somebody, you must cite which provisions of the constitutions have been violated, which provisions of the law have been violated, which crimes have been committed, bring even evidence. You must prove. You must prove. So fundamentally, where it has reached is about, and we have seen the National Assembly, they have sent out an advert citing the grounds. It is clearly circulated, and there will be forums tomorrow, I think in all constituencies, or at least in all 47 counties, and this information is with the public. And to me, in my own understanding, and I've been watching it very keenly, I've watched past impeachments, I've watched past proceeding of impeachments in the Senate, and don't forget, the proceedings that have been going on in the Senate have been watched by Kenyans, and Kenyans are understanding the process of impeachment in a more detailed manner, and people are coming to appreciate. If you are innocent, you will be let free completely. And with these 9 counts filed against the deputy president, which of course are about his own personal action, and they've been filed by a member of parliament who has done his own research and has been entertained by parliament and has been supported by 292 signatures from members of parliament. They must have understood all these 9 grounds very, 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 very clearly. And they're very easy to understand. So then the process that the life that this process takes is automatic. It is an auto process.
Are we saying that there's no opportunity to stop this process once it kicks off?
How do
is there a possibility
you
that
cannot
it can be
stop? You can only stop at the very logical tail end when the senators vote, or if the person in question chooses to resign.
What about if the mover of the motion withdraws it? Does it mean that we've already gone past that point that it cannot be stopped?
It cannot be withdrawn anymore. It's already filed, and the motion mover is ready to prosecute, to prove, And what is being proved are the alleged gross violations and of the Constitution. And
there's still time before debate.
Yes.
If at all the mover of the motion decides to withdraw it before debate on Tuesday, it means that there will be no motion. He would not be.
Yeah, of course. Technically speaking, under the standing order.
So there's still an opportunity.
Under the standing order.
I'm saying this because the Star headline says that the DP is under pressure to quit. 1, to quit, and 2, to seek asylum. 1, to quit because impeachment has devastating implications and could ruin his political future.
The fact about impeachment is that if you are successfully impeached, then you are ineligible to occupy public office. That is how serious impeachment is.
Yes.
So that the day you are getting elected or you are being appointed to an office, know that there is a telescope to accumulate all the data about you, both in private and in public. And you can see Kenya is no longer a secret country. In fact, the notion of thinking that there are some other mysterious secrets in the country somewhere is wrong. All information is public. What we do as leaders is known. It is out there. And anybody can corroborate such data and assess that it meets the threshold of impeachment, and you are impeached. If you are impeached, you don't qualify to be in public office anymore. And this was done wisely by the people of Kenya on 27th of August 2010 when they promulgated the Constitution. Why? Because the country needs good governance. And the president the other day said very clearly, the problem that we have in Kenya is incompetent leadership, conflict of interest, and corruption.
Okay.
So when that one comes, then you undermine the growth of the state. You undermine good governance. And these Kenyans decided it. It was decided and put in the Constitution, and nobody envisaged that there would be a deputy president who would be impeached at one time. There would be a president who would be impeached. There will be a minister. I remember in 2014, I persuaded members of parliament to impeach Minister Kaimeny because of incompetence. Of course, we only fell short of the threshold of 117 votes, but Kaimeny was almost impeached. And this is now a weapon that Kenyans should use. And I am urging Assembly. I am urging Assembly.
Use the word weapon.
It is a weapon.
So
it is a weapon, and that should be used in an orderly manner within the presence of law and the Constitution. Because don't allow people who have violated the Constitution and who are a threat to good governance to continue occupying offices.
Are you saying
that is what the impeachment is all about?
Even if the deputy president was to resign between today and Tuesday, that you would not support the withdrawal of this motion? You would probably feel it should go to the conclusive end?
I don't think I am qualified to,
even as a Kenyan,
to try and think in different direction of whether to withdraw or not. To withdraw, that depends on the motion mover. And I think I've worked in parliament. No sane member of parliament can move a motion of this magnitude and then come back with an afterthought to withdraw.
Well, there's a case in point. There's a case
the news will be on that particular member of parliament because you are misusing, you are wasting.
When Anne Waiguru was to be impeached and the mover of the motion stayed away from the House, eventually had to withdraw that motion. It has happened before, Bwana Susio. This is politics.
That is when you are reluctant to fully execute what you have decided to do. If, as Wilson Sossion, a member of parliament, I file an impeachment motion, it will be very foolish of me to withdraw the same, because it is not about the individual I'm impeaching, but it's about the crimes committed. You must prosecute, because those crimes you have cited, the 9 that have been cited, Mutuze must come and prove in the House. He must prove. There is no option. You can't accuse a Kenyan, yet you cannot prove. You must come and prove. And this is a right that is bequeathed on the person being impeached.
This is a political end of the president.
And Kenyans will speak in the various forum on these particular 9 charges. And let me tell you, if you are found guilty in any of the 9 charges, you are just found guilty in any one of them, the members of parliament can vote, because there will be 9 votes at the Senate. There will be 9 votes on every count. And that's how the law has been crafted. So the law is crafted in such a manner that it is fair to you, it is addressing the crimes. It is not addressing you as an individual. It is addressing the crimes that you have committed, and the members of parliament will have to judge and vote on the basis of facts. And if they vote against you, then you are gone.
Okay.
And your career is gone.
So let's focus on
any state officer and afraid, it is not a privilege to be a president of Kenya. It's not a right to be a president of Kenya. It is a privilege given to you by the people. It is not a right to be the deputy president of Kenya. It is a privilege given to you by the people. It is not a right to be a minister, to be a state officer. But it's a privilege given to you by the people. And the same people who gave you those privileges have been given the powers to remove you by impeachment.
Okay.
So even members of parliament can also be recalled.
Today, and it says DP under pressure to quit, that is one, and seek asylum. That's the second one, and perhaps the most interesting one. One, the impeachment is devastating and could ruin the deputy president's political future if he does not resign, if the impeachment is not stopped at some point. But Gachagua's allies fear that a state clampdown would soon be launched after Dozier put out. This headline seems to suggest a lot of things, and the story is on page 4 and 5, and we're only talking about it because it's on the headline today. Because they say Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's inner circle is reportedly contemplating that he resigns and seeks asylum outside the country.
Why do you seek asylum? Nobody's under threat in Kenya. Those are words of the media, and I don't think I'm qualified to talk about outrageous thinking.
Is the media overthinking
this? Yes, and trying to make it negative. To me, impeachment is not an animal. It is not. It is not a killer. It should not even scare anyone. It should not eat the minds of Kenyans. It is a process of dealing with strengthening governance.
Perhaps the suggestion is that there could be more consequences beyond the impeachment, that yes, he could be forced out of office, but even after that, after successful impeachment, there could be more negative actions against Rigathi Gachagua.
Well, I cannot speak about that because I am not qualified. I don't deal with the security matters.
Is impeachment, can impeachment on the grounds that have been cited be a basis for further court action after a successful impeachment?
Who cannot be sued in this country? Nobody's above the law.
So it is possible?
Nobody's above the law. You commit a crime, you face the law. That's the truth. The law is there to be applied on every citizen of this country, every mature citizen. Even those immature, the minors, there are levels of application of the law. So nobody's above the law. Who is above the law in this country? Nobody's above the law. Even the president. You can sue the president. You can sue anybody. Nobody's above the law.
Okay.
So anybody can be sued on any crime. But I'm not saying anybody's planning to sue somebody. I'm not competent to talk about that.
Okay.
I'm saying you commit a crime. You commit a crime within the boundaries of the Republic of Kenya, and you are an adult human being, Kenyan or outside Kenyan, regardless of your position, then you face the law.
Okay, I think you very well said.
So why do you fear consequences?
All right.
And if you are innocent, if you are stuck innocent completely, then you don't need to have sleepless nights over impeachment.
All right.
You don't. Just place your facts.
Okay.
Let the process conclude itself. And if you are innocent truly enough, nobody will competently prove it against you. And I'm happy with what the National Assembly has done to give an opportunity for any person being impeached to defend himself. It's a good thing. It's the right to be heard.
Okay.
Because so that as they compile the report and transmit it to the next level, then they have all the information. Because let us be a country of dealing with information, dealing with issues. Let's not look at names. You look at Sosion. This is a man from Bomet. If I've committed my own crimes as an individual, the people I want the people of Bomet to defend me. If I've committed my own crimes, I carry my own crimes as Sosion the person, not Sosion the man of Bomet.
Just before we finish up this conversation, let's take a look at this story filed on the Deputy President's options of survival.
Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, a man who could be facing some of the longest nights of his political life that now hangs in the balance. This after an impeachment motion was filed at the floor of the National Assembly. According to one of the members of Gachagua's legal team, the truthful man is said to be prepping his legal arsenal to fend off the allegations leveled against him in the impeachment motion.
Unajua hii watu nafikiri wako very desperate ya kunipaka matope wakijaribu kunitoa kwa kazi. Lakini they will be shocked wakati ikifika.
The heat turning up on Gachagua after 291 members supported the impeachment motion tabled by Kibwezi Member of Parliament Mwengi Mutuse, accusing Gachagua of an array of issues, among them uttering of divisive and insightful utterances, violating national cohesion and integration, undermining the president, corruption and economic crimes, gross misconduct, bullying, among others. With this list of damaging accusations, a section of constitutional lawyers felt at this stage Gachagua might not survive the onslaught.
Jinsi ya kumng'atua naibu wa rais mamlakani ina nguzo za kisheria za kikatiba, lakini mawimbi ambayo yanawezesha kumng'atua mtu mamlakani ni mawimbi ya kisiasa.
If the political class are able to governize themselves and say whether what we are saying makes sense or not, we have done our duty, then they will have their way.
However, these legal minds further believe that political scheming might carry the day in the move to hang a noose on Gachagua's political neck. Even so, the stipulation outlined in the 2010 Constitution places a high threshold to any attempt to bundle out any occupant of the Harambee Annex office.
The beauty of the law we have, the MPs will use this Constitution to impeach him. He will also use this Constitution to go to court. The judges will use this Constitution.
A section of parliamentarians through social media have not shied away in giving a snippet of what awaits Gachagua if he opts to go through the impeachment motion by defending himself. Kapsaret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi, taking to his social media accounts, shared that, and I quote, "No one has an issue with the majority of leaders from the mountain, save for one ill-behaved character. Even his replacement will surely come from the mountain." End of quote. Elsewhere, Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua strikes an interesting tone, one wrapped in the idea of patriotism. And I quote, "We are one country, one people, and it will remain so. That is why this motion of impeachment of rogue Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is not about politics, but about saving Kenya's soul." End of quote.
Kila mtu alikuwa anafurahi nikiongea Kikuyu, nikiongea Kimeru, nikishinda kwa mlima, nikisanya kura. Makosa iko wapi nikitembea mlimani? Makosa iko wapi nikichunga mambo ya watu wetu kama huyu Mwiti, kuhakikisha ya kwamba kama Kome ametoka huyu amepata? Iko makosa gani? Mimi sioni makosa yote nimefanya, kwa sababu hakuna mtu hana kwao.
The impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua being a dichotomy of legal and political. Now, constitutional pundits warn that during this process, politics might take the day. Mwige William, TV47, Nairobi.
Yes, Sosion, let's now focus on the post-impeachment, because it looks like the way things are going, most likely at the end of this, Rigathi Gachagua will no longer be the deputy president. Whether he fights it in court or not, we have to wait and see. But let's hypothesize that it's a successful impeachment and he's out of office. A successful impeachment has also locked him out of active politics. What does it portend for the William Ruto administration, given the fact that he enjoyed quite a huge chunk of support from the home base of Rigathi Gachagua?
I think the post-impeachment situation is clearly spelled out in law. It is spelled out. There is no doubt about that. If any of the 9 charges is not proved, And the two parliaments. One, this item can die next week at the National Assembly if it does not muster at least 233 votes. If it doesn't, it dies. And the Deputy President continues in office. And therefore it will mean what Honorable Mutuse filed lacked basis and facts. That is one possibility. Because there is, in mathematics, there is what you call probability. Yeah, it can fall either way. It is like a coin. And this is also a process of science. Two, it can receive unanimous approval. And this is power donated to the people, to Parliament by the people. So the people will be exercising their power indirectly through their representatives. And if at the tail end of the Senate, because most of the activities will go on at the Senate, that is where the lawyers will appear, both parties, and the National Assembly will clear it next Tuesday, according to the constitutional timeline. The Constitution also sets the timelines on when this should be dispensed of. And once it appears in the Senate, all other businesses shall freeze and impeachment will take precedence. At the end of it, the impeachment can fail or succeed. Those are two possibilities. So that then we don't need to over-speculate that politically what can be done. We are getting to a level in this country where you cannot politically massage things. Empirical facts will prevail and carry the day. And people will be able to take decisions based on facts, regardless on who is being impeached. And so, if the impeachment is successful, then the Speaker of the Senate will gazette the decision of the Senate. And once it's gazetted, it shall be law. Once it's gazetted, because the Constitution says the moment 2/3 of the Senate approves the impeachment of the President or the Deputy, then the office shall fall vacant. Shall. It doesn't even require consultation of the President or anybody, because this is a country that is run by laws. It's not run by individual decisions. We saw what was being done in the IBC, that you must take these results to be approved by somebody. No, you don't. The fact that is on the table is pronounced to the public. And so once Senate votes on the affirmative of the impeachment, that is the end of the story. And the Speaker will have to pronounce the outcome of the Senate in terms of voting. And the Speaker will have to gazette the finding of the Senate. And once that is done, the law also allows the President, I think within 60 days, within a period of 60 days, you must forward a name of a recommended appointee of the deputy to Parliament.
Which is a political process back again.
Yes, it's a political process. Even the picking of a running mate was also a political process. So the President is given another chance.
Which has serious implications.
Of course, it has implications, and that is now that is now where the President begins applying his mind, applying his wisdom, applying his leadership to deal with the problem. So the problem ends up at the desk of the President upon gazettement by the Speaker of the Senate. And the President cannot bend, you cannot overturn the decision of the Senate. He can't. It's bound by the Constitution. So he will have no choice, but...
Let's focus on the politics of it, because now when you talk about it being a political process in appointing the Deputy President, of course we look at the tweets by some of the elected members and they say it has to go back to Mount Kenya. There are those who say it has been promised to ODM, but the concern is that, fine, The president may be keen on still retaining the support base in Mount Kenya, but ODM has been key in this process of impeachment and could come back and say, hey, we've helped you get to this position. We can help you again in 2027.
You know,
why don't you give us that support?
You know, Kenyans are very cheeky in thinking cheekily in this particular matter. That is a cheeky thinking.
Are you saying it's
it is a cheeky thinking? It's a cheeky political thinking,
which is very possible.
The president, when he was sworn in, he said he was going to work with all Kenyans, all leaders, and I have a personal testimony. When I was moving from ODM to UDA, the person I had to talk with and tell him, hey, I have arrived, was the president. And he's a Democrat. And he said, yes, it's good, you've come. And I reported that I've been released officially from the other side. I didn't run away from ODM. I had to seek for permission from the party leader, which I was given. And that is the civilized politics we need to play. We don't need to behave like animals. And therefore, in this case, there was a political arrangement and understanding within the president's circle. And the president is not a person to breach agreements. He doesn't. And when true to his words, he opened up a broad-based government and brought in ODM leadership to the framework of leadership.
He already declared that he would never work with Raila Odinga.
It does not mean.
He also made a promise that he would not allow his deputy to be harassed or even treated the same way he was. And you're saying he does not break his...
Politics are not static.
So
politics
he is,
are not
so he can break his agreements.
No, that is not an adversarial position will always be laxed in politics. You don't remain adversarial throughout. You don't do that. Even one time, Alfred Mutua was complaining about the handshake with the president. But you see, eventually, this is how politics is. You know, you don't sustain adversarial positions. And if the president is changing position from adversarial and being accommodative, that's a progressive thing. We do that. We forgive ourselves. In the political space, you don't keep grudges. And so, therefore, ODM coming in to work within the broad-based government, as far as I know, they have not demanded for the position of deputy president. They have not.
What if they do?
And I would know. Even if they do, the decision rests with the president. And the president, nobody has said the deputy president's position be removed from Mount Kenya. And let me tell you my personal conviction and my personal...
As you would give your parting shot, yes.
Yes. I don't think anybody will disenfranchise the progressive advancement of the people of Mount Kenya, including their rightful position in government. If Rigathi Gachagua is impeached successfully, I'm totally convinced, that the next deputy president will still come from Mount Kenya. That is my simple estimation.
Is it
but
a guarantee?
But you see, I don't give a guarantee. The wisdom lies with the Constitution says the wisdom lies with the
president.
With the president.
All right.
And we cannot discuss what the president will do. We don't sit around the president to tell him what to do. He's wise enough. He has his own infrastructure. He's our political leader. We allowed him so. And we even allowed him to pick his running mate. He constitutes government. The Constitution gives him that power. He is the only one who was allowed to keep the sword of the state. And by keeping the sword of the state, all authority lies with him. And he will make that decision. He will appoint a Kenyan to that office. he will appoint a Kenyan
it will definitely
to
be
that office.
Yes.
And that is it. And for me, from where I am, as Wilson Sosion, I don't think that position will get out of Mount Kenya. It will go to one person at Mount Kenya.
Thank you so much.
Mount Kenya interest within the leadership of William Ruto up to 2032 will remain protected. And the interest of all other communities in Kenya will remain protected. And the broad-based politics of the president is uniting the country. And what we are witnessing, just like the Bible says, in my Father's house, there is room enough for all of you. There are many mansions.
Okay.
And I think in the government of President William Ruto, there are mansions and rooms for all Kenyans.
There's also a mansion
that
for
is
the
a
Mount
simple
Kenya
thing
region.
for the president.
Thank you so much, Wilson Sosion, former Secretary General KNUT, and also a former member of the National Assembly, for your very well considered opinions on the raft of issues we've talked about, from health, impeachment of county governors, proposals for extension of term limits of elected leaders, and of course the big one, the big talking point this entire week and even in the coming weeks, the impeachment of the deputy